to Malaysia. Honorable Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Osman Bakar, Rector of the International Islamic University Malaysia, and fellow dignitaries. Please sit, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency Mr. Irfan Davidov, Ambassador of the Republic of Azerbaijan to Malaysia, Excellencies and Honorable Members of the Parliament, Republic of Azerbaijan and Western Azerbaijan Community, Honorable Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Osman Bakar, Rector of the International Islamic University Malaysia, Dr. Elsavar Salmanov, Counselor and Deputy Head of Mission, Embassy of the Republic of Azerbaijan, our webinar moderator, Prof. Muhammad Nakib Ishanjan Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah of Laws, Dr. Ahmad El Mohammadi, the Deputy Director of Peace, Dialogue and Xenophobia Studies Center, Dr. O.C. Yazaji, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge, fellow academics, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, very warm welcome to our university, to our external guests, and also to everyone attending either here in Senate Hall or remotely on our online platforms. Welcome to our special program this evening. This hybrid mode seminar on Western Azerbaijan reality, vandalized heritage, historical justice and rights to return is jointly organized by International Islamic University Malaysia in collaboration with the Embassy of the Republic of Azerbaijan in Malaysia. Now, this seminar topic has significant spiritual, historical, and humanitarian importance, shedding light on the experiences and aspiration of the Western Azerbaijan community. This webinar will highlight the destruction of Islamic heritage in the Western Azerbaijan region, discuss the legal and historical context, and explore the right of displaced communities to return to their homeland under international law. Now, first to give barakah to our program, let us begin with dua recitation by Dr. Muhammad Al-Shubaki.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد في الأولين والآخرين وفي الملأ الأعلى وفي عليين وإلى يوم الدين اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا ميمونا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا ولا منا ولا بيننا شقيا ولا محروما وحرم وجوهنا وأجسادنا على النار يا رب العالمين اللهم اجعل هذا اللقاء لقاء خير ونفع يا رب العالمين اللهم كن مع إخواننا المستضعفين في أذربيجان يا رب العالمين اللهم كن لهم يا ربنا عونا وناصرا ونصيرا اللهم كن مع إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين اللهم كن مع إخواننا المستضعفين في غزة وفي سائر بلاد المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين اللهم إنا نسألك في هذا اللقاء المبارك أن تغفر لنا ذنوبنا وأن تيسر لنا أمورنا وأن ترزقنا يا ربنا الخير والتوفيق والرشاد والسداد وأن تجعله يا ربنا في ميزان حسناتنا يوم نلقاك وتقاك. اللهم يا ربنا يا إلهنا يا رجاءنا أكرمنا في الدنيا والآخرة، واجعل هذا العلم علما نافعا نؤجر عليه في ديننا ودنيانا وأخرانا. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من النار. اللهم بارك في جامعتنا الجامعة الإسلامية العالمية ماليزيا، واجعلها يا ربنا منارة علم وخير وإيمان إلى يوم الدين. وبارك في كلية أحمد إبراهيم للقانون وفي سائر كليات جامعتنا بفضلك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Dr. Shabaki. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite the Honorable Rector, Professor Emeritus Datuk Dr. Osman Bakar, to deliver his welcoming remarks. At your seat, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening. His Excellency Mr. Irfan Daudov, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Azerbaijan to Malaysia, and the staff of the Embassy, Excellencies and honorable members of the Parliament, Republic of Azerbaijan, Professor Amir, the Principal Director of the International Office of IUM, respected guest speakers, fellow academics, students, and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the International Islamic University, Malaysia, IIUM, I'm honored to welcome all of you to this important academic discourse on Western Azerbaijan reality, subtopic Vandalized Islamic Heritage, Historical Justice, and Rights to Return. Allow me first to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the Embassy of the Republic of Azerbaijan in Malaysia for its continuous support and collaboration to the university. I would like also to commend the enthusiasm and initiative shown by IIUM students and alumni in organizing this webinar. Their efforts demonstrate the university's enduring commitment to nurturing globally aware, intellectually grounded, and value-driven leaders. I'm not going to read the text of my speech tonight. I just want to speak. I want to share with you several personal narratives related to Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has been in my mind since I was a master's student in 1971 in London. Why Azerbaijan? Because I was a student of history of science in Islamic civilization. I knew there were periods in Islamic history when that ancient region, of Azerbaijan produced many contributions to Islamic civilization. Most vivid in my mind was Margha. Maragha, in that ancient region, Azerbaijan, produced observatories, leading centers of Islamic science and technology that period. It was in Maragha that produced one of the golden ages of Islamic civilization in science. Now, this is important to emphasize because we are going to talk about the lost heritage, the destroyed heritage. So Azerbaijan was already mine until now, and of course, when I met, it's a new development in a sense when I met His Excellency Ambassador Irfan. Ambassador His Excellency arrived in Malaysia as ambassador during the COVID period. He gave me a call sometimes in November 2021. He said he wanted to see me. I told him, I really love to see you, but I will not be able to see you in person because I was not vaccinated. I did not run away. I got exemption from the ministry not to be vaccinated. So I said, why not we have organized Zoom meeting? So to be precise, 23rd November 2021 at 11 o'clock in the morning, we talked for the first time to each other. After so I think when we had that, basically before we had that Zoom meeting, you provided me with so many materials, with so many printed material, videos and other things about especially about the occupied territory of Azerbaijan, occupied by Armenia. So that I learned more. I came to know more about what was going on since 1992, the early 92s, the first war of this basically Karabakh, the Nagorno-Karabakh, Karabakh region, 1992. So I want to not remind myself tonight about that, because since then I have better and better relations, not only with Excellency, who is my good friend now, but also through him, I came to know more about contemporary Azerbaijan. He introduced me to a leading professor, Professor Konul Zadeh. She, a professor of Islamic philosophy at the Academy of Science in Azerbaijan, and in fact through that we talk more about what's happening in Azerbaijan, and later on His Excellency introduced me to the Azerbaijan Theology Institute, and they invited me to give a talk to which I delivered, but of course online. I know His Excellency invited me to come to Azerbaijan, but unfortunately I haven't found the time yet. But inshallah, His Excellency, I will visit Azerbaijan, inshallah. But I just want to mention here that among the materials which was provided to me by His Excellency were the publications of the Karabakh Center. The center we produce basically is all about very, very nice words. This word herbicide, Urbicidi. We should try to remember this word, herbicide. Urbi is related to urban. It's from the Latin word Latin word urbi, yeah, urbi, which actually is direct translation of Madani, or Medina, basically. Yeah. Um, so the article described about this herbicide, in other words, the destruction of so many cities of Azerbaijan at the hands of Armenia. So many, and of course, the content of those cities. Um, I think I remember, and there was something which I remember well. That article, the first article on that, was quoting the view of Bogdanovich. I don't know from which country. Is it maybe Bosnia?
I don't
Or
know.
no, yeah.
Russia.
Because he talked about the meaning of herbicide, what it means. What it means to Azerbaijan, what it means to the rest of the Muslim world. Yeah, so many aspects of our heritage were destroyed during the war, and one of the most important things that he said is in herbicide or in cultural genocide, in genocide, a part of our memory is lost. A part of collective memory is lost. Yeah? And this is precisely what those people who commit genocide now, what the Israelis are doing now in Gaza and so on, they want to erase the memory, the collective memory of our people. So it's more than, in other words, the impact is psychological, greater, much greater, much more serious than the loss of buildings and so on, is what it is in terms of our mental health. So I just want to introduce my speech basically that to remind myself, since I came to know His Excellency Ambassador Irfan, I come to to be feel closer to the people of Azerbaijan, and I hope this program today, this webinar tonight, will certainly and it will enable us to exchange ideas. And I just want to say this before I close my introductory remarks. The things that we need to do. Yes, we can talk tonight, but what important thing, what follow up that we need to have. As far as the IIN, this university is concerned, we have. Certainly, I want to talk about this new institute, the new institution that is in the process of being established, which were given the name World Dialogue Academy, WDA, comprising in that which is this is situated in the old campus of ISTAC, this in Damansara, in Jalan Damansara. So within that academy, we have the Institute, International Institute of Futures Studies, which is relevant to what we're going to talk tonight, because we have to talk about the future of the region, of the Balkans and other. The other one is the Institute of International ASEAN Study. So we would like to invite our colleagues, academics from other parts of the world, including from the Balkan countries, to have a closer rapport, to collaborate in the academic field. And in that one also we have a Center for Dialogue, Center for Peace, Dialogue, and Xenophobia. Dr. Ahmad Mahmadi, he's the Deputy Director of that. And of course, xenophobia, the most important aspect is, of course, Islamophobia, and to some extent now is xenophobia. And I would like to suggest that certainly this academy would be organizing dialogue. I would like to see more scholars, academics from Azerbaijan. No, we can entertain, we can organize, join short courses and so on. Because we have to, why? We have to respond genocide with something greater. What is that greater? That is the power of the human words through dialogue. Hopefully, inshallah, yeah, we don't have the mighty strength of the superpowers in terms of materialism, but we have the power of the words contained in our wisdom of our tradition, wisdom of religion. So that is a dialogue to comfort, to conquer the hearts of people, to conquer the hearts of people through the power of dialogue, the power of the words. So I just now to congratulate the organizers for this event tonight, and hopefully we'll move forward and not just simply to have this webinar, but to follow up. And I wish all the those who are now in Azerbaijan, especially the members of parliament, thank you for your gesture. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that very heartfelt remarks. And next, I would like to invite His Excellency, Mr. Irfan Davidov, the Ambassador of Republic of Azerbaijan, to deliver his opening remarks. Please welcome him.
Thank you. Good evening, dear friends, distinguished participants. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Is it correct? It's a great honor for me to greet everyone here in this Senate Hall of the university, as well as everyone who joined us online, with my warmest feelings, and express my sincere gratitude for being with us this evening. And of course, first of all, I wish to express my deepest gratitude to my dear friend, Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar, the rector of the International Islamic University of Malaysia, for his valuable support in organizing this webinar, and not only for this. As dear doctor mentioned, I have known the esteemed professor since the first days of my arrival in Malaysia, and during this time he has never withheld his valuable support and cooperation, for which I express my deep gratitude to you, dear professor. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to the speakers, whose valuable presentations will make a significant contribution to clarifying the issue and understanding the facts. I want to cordially thank to Mr. Gaya Mamedov, Member of the Parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan and Deputy Chairman of the Western Azerbaijani Community, Dr. Fariz Ismailzadeh, Member of the Parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Vice Rector of ADA University, and Dr. Vgar Bayramov, Member of the Parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Head of the Azerbaijan-Malaysian Interparliamentary Friendship Group. They join us online. And also to Professor Dr. Mohammed Naguib Eishan, Dr. Ahmed Al-Mohammadi, my friend, and Dr. Olsi Jazescu. I cannot. Jazescu. Okay, let's say all from Islamic University of Malaysia. Dear friends, my remarks will be very short. Without going into details, I would like just to briefly express my opinion on the subject. The topic will be explained in more depth by the esteemed members of the Azerbaijani parliament and scholars who kindly accepted our invitation to be speakers at the webinar. The main purpose of organizing this webinar is to raise awareness of Malaysian scientific community as well as Malaysian society in general about painful consequences of creating artificial states through the geography and cartographic engineering. These pains have been being felt in the political, social, cultural, and other fields of life of my people for a long time. In accordance with the interests of Tsarist Russia, the establishment of a Christian enclave in the South Caucasus was deemed necessary. This decision had already been made at the beginning of the 19th century by the geopolitical engineers of the era. An ethno-national Christian community had been identified and suitable territory was being sought to establish a province or even a state for them. Ethnic Armenians residing in Anatolia and Iran were gradually relocated to the territory of former Azerbaijani Khanates occupied by Russia at the beginning of the 19th century, a region known today as Armenia. Tragically, it was the hundreds of thousands of Muslims in Western Azerbaijan who bore the brunt of this political project. The Armenians resettled in the area, emboldened by the very power that had brought them there, forcibly displaced the native Muslim population. In fact, the notion of Lebensraum, often attributed to the brutal fascist leadership of Hitler, had already been implemented as early as the mid-19th century and persisted well into the 20th century. I believe it would be useful to briefly refer to certain scientific historical sources. Russian historian Nikolai Nikolaevich Shavrov noted in one of his studies, at the beginning of the 20th century, more than 1,300,000 Armenians were settled in Transcaucasia. Over 1 million of them were not indigenous to the region, but had been settled there by us, Russia. Alexander Sergeyevich Griboyedov, who served as an ambassador of Tsarist Russia in Tehran, persistently recommended in his diplomatic reports to his capital that the Armenians in Iran be relocated to Azerbaijani lands to facilitate the creation of a Christian state in the region. The decree issued by Russian Emperor Nicholas I on March 21st, 1828, marked the first official step in granting territory to the Armenians brought into Azerbaijan. What is particularly striking is that the plans initiated under Tsarist Russia were not only left uninterrupted by the Soviet regime, but were continued. Muslim Azerbaijani population were forcibly displaced from what is now Armenia during various periods, notably in 1905, 1906, and 1918-1920 prior to the Soviet era, and again during 1930s, 1948, 1953, and 1987-88 during the Soviet period, to be resettled in other regions of what is today the Republic of Azerbaijan. As a natural continuation of these bloody resettlement policies, names of settlements, rivers, lakes, mountains, and forests with Azerbaijani origins were swiftly changed, while cemeteries, mosques, historical sites, and buildings were systematically destroyed. The process of building the Armenian ethno-national state, it seems, necessitated such acts of cultural and historical vandalism. In 1920, under order from Moscow, the Central Bureau of the Communist Party of Azerbaijan and the Caucasus Bureau of the Russian Communist Party made the decision to annex the Zengezur region of Azerbaijan to Armenia, and the process of transferring Azerbaijani territories to Armenia continued until the late 1960s. I believe that taking these historical facts into consideration would be very beneficial for understanding the South Caucasus and especially the Armenian issue in the region. Dear friends, I believe it's important to highlight another significant point for your attention, that every year on June 20th, the world commemorates World Refugee Day, a day designated by the United Nations to honor the resilience and dignity of those who have been forced to flee their homelands. It serves as a global recognition of the struggles and rights of refugees everywhere, including our compatriots from Western Azerbaijan. Western Azerbaijani community, representatives of which attend our webinar today, grew out of the Azerbaijan Refugee Association established in 1989 and is the only public institution in Azerbaijan dealing with the problems of refugees from Western Azerbaijan. Its purpose is not only to document the losses, but also to develop a concept of return. I am sure that you will join me in wishing the community well in its work to restore justice and international law, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and conventions on the status of refugees. In closing, I would like to express my deep appreciation to all those who contributed to making this important webinar possible. And in particular, once again, express my sincere gratitude to the distinguished Professor Emeritus Dr. Osman Bakar and our distinguished speakers. Thank you for attention. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for providing the background to the topic of this evening's webinar. And again, we are very honored by your presence this evening. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I pass the floor to our esteemed moderator, let me briefly introduce him first. Dr. Elsava is the counselor. Is the counselor and deputy head of mission at the Embassy of the Republic of Azerbaijan in Malaysia. And he has had a long and illustrious career as a diplomat for almost 2 decades. And he also has a PhD of International Relations in the Institute of Social Sciences and IR from the University of Gazi in Ankara, Turkey. And we are very fortunate to have him this evening to moderate this session. Dr. Elsava, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope my voice can be heard. Yeah. Now, can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Elsevar Salmanov, counselor of the embassy. We gathered here today with a shared purpose, to deepen our collective understanding of historical truths. As is widely recognized, such truths are first examined and illuminated within the realm of scholarly inquiry before radiating outward into broader society, much like the diffusion of light. In this regard, the International Islamic University Malaysia, a distinguished intellectual hub within both the Islamic world and the Southeast Asian region, plays a vital role in advancing this noble pursuit. By graciously hosting us, IIUM reaffirms its commitment to the civilization and dissemination of knowledge. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to the entire IIUM community for their warm hospitality, and we offer special thanks to Emeritus Professor Ustad Osman Bakar. Thank you for his invaluable contributions and support. Let me introduce our first speaker. I want to briefly introduce Mr. Gayam Ahmedov. He is the Member of Parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan. He is also the Deputy Chairman of the Board of Western Azerbaijan Community. Mr. Gayam Ahmedov was elected as Member of Parliament at the general elections in 2024. He is a member of Committee for International Relations and Interparliamentary Cooperation and the Committee for Defense, Security and Counter-Corruption of the Parliament. Mr. Mammadov leads the delegation to the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly and the Group for Interparliamentary Relations with the Netherlands. In December 2024, Mr. Mammadov was elected as Deputy Chairman of the Board of the Western Azerbaijan Community. The organization United Azerbaijanis displaced from Armenia. Prior to elected as MP to the parliament, Mr. Gayam Ahmedov had served in the diplomatic service of Azerbaijan for 25 years. He held positions of PR of Azerbaijan to NATO, a permanent representative of Azerbaijan to NATO, head of Department of International Security, head of Department for Political Military Affairs, Deputy Head of Department for Security Problems, among others. He also served as at the Defense Policy and Planning Division, NATO International Staff, as a seconded officer. In 2012, Mr. Mammadov was awarded by the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan with the Medal of Distinguished Diplomatic Service. Mr. Mammadov holds BA and MA degrees in International Relations from the Baku State University and MA degree in Diplomacy from the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy of the Tufts University. Mr. Gayam Ahmedov, floor is yours, please. Also, I have to inform you that due to unprecedented schedule, Gaya Mammadov will leave our meeting early. Floor is yours, Gaya Mallam, please. Gaya Mallam, we cannot hear you. No, we cannot hear you, unfortunately.
I think the microphone is not connected.
No, still we cannot hear.
No, the sign says that disconnected, microphone disconnected.
Mallam?
Kaya istəyirsən mən danışım, sən fix elə kompüteri.
If you want, if you don't mind, we can, yes, Mr. Fariz Ismailzadeh, we can give floor. If you don't mind, Gaya Mallam. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, dear colleagues, and greetings from Baku. I will
Fariz
speak
Mallam.
while Mr. Gaya is maybe rebooting his computer, just not to waste the time. I would like to pass the greetings from Ada University, where I'm working as Vice Rector. Also on behalf of Parliament of Azerbaijan, where I'm newly elected member since 2024. Special thanks to the university for hosting us, for organizing this seminar, and I think that it would be useful for the students, for the academic community to learn more about our region, about the problem of Western Azerbaijan. And I would like also to thank our ambassador, Mr. Irfan Davudov, for also initiating this wonderful seminar idea. Let me just very briefly show you a couple of slides. Here is the map of Turkic Muslim countries, nations in Central Asia, Caucasus, Greater Eurasia. And you can see here that all of these countries, the unity between these countries is actually divided, geographically divided. As it was mentioned in the previous speeches by Ambassador Irfan Davudov, it was divided artificially by Russian imperialistic ambitions, Russian imperialistic thinking and strategic thinking to divide the Turkic Muslim world into separate parts. And therefore, the Republic of Armenia was established on the territories of ancient Azerbaijani territories in order to divide this unity, to disconnect Turkey from Azerbaijan, from Central Asia, from Muslim states, and to bring Christian country into the region of South Caucasus. Here in the second slide, I would like to show you that this is the map of Azerbaijan Republic, independent Azerbaijan Republic, during the Paris Peace Conference in 1920, when Azerbaijan showed the map of unified territories, which was the reality on the ground. These lands were populated by Muslim Azerbaijani communities, and this is the map which was presented to foreign powers in Europe during the peace conference in Paris. Unfortunately, this map is now no longer reality because the southern borders of Azerbaijan, the areas which are now called Zangezur, were transferred by Soviet government to Armenia, and therefore this disconnect between Turkey and other Muslim states in the region, especially Azerbaijan, was created. So this artificial disconnect, as you can see from this map, was created by Moscow, by Russian politicians, by Soviet politicians in order to divide the Muslim Turkic world. The ambitions of Armenia and ambitions of Russia did not end here. After the collapse of Soviet Union, the territorial claims of Armenia towards Azerbaijan were further extended by occupying Karabakh region of Azerbaijan and another historical region of Azerbaijan, which was occupied against the international laws and UN principles. So 4 UN resolutions were adopted in order to demand the immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian troops. Here I can show you the picture of 1 million ethnic Azerbaijanis that were deported from their lands, from their ethnically cleansed homes. And these Azerbaijanis, Muslim Azerbaijanis, lived in tent camps for many, many decades, almost 30 years, until these Karabakh lands were liberated and territorial integrity of Azerbaijan was restored. I would like to say that despite the fact that Karabakh is liberated, the issue of Western Azerbaijan, which is now in the territory of Armenia, is still very much valid, because from the territory of Armenia, also approximately 400 ethnic Azerbaijanis were deported. They were deported in different waves. I have here pictures of different waves in 1918, 1948, and most lately in 1988, more than 400,000 Azerbaijanis were deported. And here in these territories, what we see complete destruction of Muslim heritage. Many mosques were looted, destructed, and they were turned into warehouses for pigs and cows. Here I can show you examples of mosques that were ruined in the territory of Armenia, in western Azerbaijan. Many neighborhoods, Muslim neighborhoods, that were completely erased, even from the capital city, Yerevan, which was ancient Azerbaijani city, also completely erased Muslim neighborhoods. Citizens were vandalized, they were ethnically cleansed. And here we see not only ruins of ancient Muslim neighborhoods and mosques and castles, but also we see that some important museums, cultural houses, and let's say intangible arts were also destroyed. So all of these historical evidences show that Western Azerbaijani territories were populated by Muslims, by Muslim communities. They were ethnically cleansed, and there's a data connecting these deportations to orders from Moscow government in 1950s and from the Armenian government in 1980s. What we in Azerbaijan now currently demand is the right for Azerbaijanis for return to their homelands, for their villages, native towns, to have a right for peaceful return, have a right to restore their international law, and to make sure that Azerbaijani communities in Western Azerbaijan thrive again in a peaceful manner, and that we are able to connect Azerbaijan and Turkey by land through different roads, infrastructure projects, transportation corridors, and this would be a nice vision for the future of the region. I am very thankful to Malaysian colleagues and Malaysian students, academicians, for showing interest to this issue, and we would like to also see support of other Muslim countries in international platforms to achieve this peace and to achieve this historical justice. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, thank you for this seminar.
Let me introduce, Mr. Fariz Ismailzadeh, Dr. Fariz Ismailzadeh, briefly. He is the Member of Parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan. He is Deputy Chair of Education and Science Committee, Member of International Interparliamentary Relations Committee. He is also chair of UK-Azerbaijan Friendship Group of the Parliament, and he is the Vice Rector of Azerbaijan Diplomatic Academy University and Director of Institute for Development and Diplomacy. Mr. Fariz Ismailzadeh is the editor of many books and author of more than 300 articles on energy security and regional politics. The most important is Fariz Ismailzadeh is my teacher, was my teacher in ADA University also. I have to remind this issue. Okay, thank you, Dr. Fariz Ismailzadeh. Okay. Now, I want to give the floor to Mr. Gaya Mamadov.
Hello, do you hear me now this time?
Yes. Floor is yours, Mr. Gaya Mamadov.
Thank you very much. I really apologize for the earlier technical difficulty which prevented me to join you on time. Professor Osman Bakar that relates to one of the key issues of justice in the Islamic world. Indeed, Azerbaijani heritage in the current territory of Armenia is one of the issues that relates that concerns the Islamic world as such. Last year, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Summit in Banjul made a decision expressing concern over the expulsion of Azerbaijanis from Armenia and destruction of Islamic heritage there. And it also asked all of its affiliated structures, to begin with ISESCO and ARSICA, to come up with solutions so that international community have better understanding of the scale and magnitude of the problem, and B, devise programs that would help restoring and preservation of Islamic heritage in this country. I know that it's not an easy task to address, but I want to give a few remarks on the extent of the problem and our view and vision how we want to address this, and what kind of role the OIC and its affiliated structures, and of course your university, can play therein. Roughly one century ago, Azerbaijan is living in the Caucasus. I mean, 1/4 of them, 25% of them, were living in the modern territory of Armenia. All of them were expelled in different waves. The last wave of being in 1987, when the last remaining 300,000 Azerbaijanis were expelled. Now, in Azerbaijan, we have a population of 10 million. Over 2 million are themselves expelled from Armenia or are descendants of those who were expelled. So in terms of percentage, 25% of population is one way or another directly affected with ethnic cleansing by Armenia. And the people who were expelled from Armenia, we call ourselves Western Azerbaijanis, and we call our historical lands as Western Azerbaijan. It has nothing to do with political or legal meaning. It's just historical and cultural connotation. And we organized a society back in 1989, as Mr. Ambassador explored, and we have one single aim. We wish to return to our homes in safety and with dignity. To that end, we, of course, we would like to do it with peaceful means and in full respect to international law and norms, most notably the respect for the territorial integrity of states. And expulsion of Azerbaijanis from Armenia is an unprecedented injustice. Let me remind that Azerbaijanis used to constitute up to 80% of population in the modern territory of Armenia. And all of Azerbaijanis were expelled, and in their homes, Armenians were brought in from elsewhere. So in that sense, in modern history, there is no similar case whereby the original population of an area is entirely, totally ethnically cleansed. There are, of course, cases of ethnic cleansing that affects Muslim countries and populations, but total ethnic cleansing to that extent, it is unprecedented. And a new country was formed in our homeland, basically which is called now Armenia. So we recognize the realities, of course. We understand that Armenia is a member state of the United Nations, but of course it does not mean it can continue all this injustice against us. So what we need to do to ensure that Armenia respects its obligations under international law and under specific international human rights conventions it became party to. So what can, and of course, most important thing, Armenia's actions is tantamount to systemic state-sponsored, state-driven Islamophobia. Islamophobia, of course, is a new term that was coined by a recent UN General Assembly resolution, but as such, it is, but Armenia's actions is textbook example of systematic Islamophobia. Therefore, it's, of course, concerns entire Islamic world. And so it is not coincidence that the OIC made a decision last year to address this problem. Our community is now in contact with the ISESCO to organize a profound scientific event. By the way, we look forward to potential contribution from your university to that endeavor that we are doing with ISESCO in Rabat. But I think your university's role can go beyond that. I believe there is a specific Islamic heritage lab at your university, which has scientific capacity to come up with, let's say, digital restoration of heritage sites, Islamic heritage sites that has been destroyed based on the restoration can be done based on the historical data and sketches that are available. Of course, we would be grateful if you could address this issue in a more general scientific manner. Again, expulsion of Azerbaijanis from Armenia is an unprecedented justice for the entire mankind as such, but also it is a very unparalleled example of Islamophobia. To that end, I believe your university could, as an institution which is one way or another affiliated with the OIC, could make contribution to the implementation of last year's summit decision regarding the raising awareness on the plight of Azerbaijanis expelled from Armenia and their destruction of their heritage. We also are ready, look forward to continue direct cooperation with your university regarding all these issues that concerns not only us, but also entire the Islamic world. Again, I'd like to stop here. I'm on a mission on a different country right now. I need to attend a different meeting. Again, Professor Bakar, Ambassador Davudov, again, thank you very much for co-organizing this important event. I am confident that it's going to be only one first step towards our lasting cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gaya Mammadov, for your valuable speech. Let me introduce our third speaker, Mr. Vugar Bayramov. He is the Member of Parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan. He is member of Committee on Economic Policy, Industry and Entrepreneurship and the Committee on Labor and Social Policy of the Parliament. He is the head of the Working Group on Azerbaijan-Malaysia Interparliamentary Relations, a member of working groups on relations with the parliaments of the United States of America, the Federal Republic of Germany, Austria, Belgium, the United Kingdom, Brazil, and the Republic of South Africa, Italy, Turkey, and Japan. He is a member of the Azerbaijan delegation to the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly. Mr. Vugar Bayramov was graduated from the Finance and Credit Faculty of the Azerbaijan State University of Economics and the Faculty of Economics of the University of Washington. He is a Doctor of Philosophy in Economics. Mr. Vugar Bayramov, floor is yours, please.
Thanks so much, Honorable Rector Professor Osman Bakar, His Excellency Ambassador Irfan Davudov, members of the Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, as the chairman of the Azerbaijan and Malaysia Inter-Parliamentary Working Group, I would like to express my thanks to the organizers for organizing such an important event and giving floor to me indeed. Azerbaijan and Malaysia are countries with historical and cultural friendly relations. I have a presentation, but in my presentation, I have only one slide. I hope everybody can see that slide which show the Shah Abbas Mosque, which I visited as a child, and this mosque was built in 1683 and was destroyed and turned into a pigsty as a result of the Armenian occupation. I was born in Karabakh, which was occupied by Armenia starting 1988, and my village where I was born was also occupied by Armenian forces in 1993. And starting 1993 to 2020, I was in 1993. I was forced to settle in Baku, the capital city, as a IDP after my village was occupied by Armenia in 1993. I mentioned. And during the occupation, not only Shah Abbas Mosque and more than 6 mosques in Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur have been totally destroyed and turned into ruins. And the whole Karabakh was completely destroyed, of course, and the liberalization of Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur from the 30-year occupation of Armenia has opened a new page for further deepening of relations between Azerbaijan and Malaysia. I have been several times in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur and other cities, even before the parliament, because I was chairman of the first independent think tank in Azerbaijan. I visited several times think tanks and universities in Malaysia, take part in the Asian think tank summit, and of course, it's an honor for me to be chairman of the Azerbaijan-Malaysia Inter-Parliamentary Working Group at the Parliament of Azerbaijan. As I mentioned, I am from Karabakh, and during the occupation, Karabakh was completely destroyed. But now Karabakh is being rebuilt and developed. And since the Second Karabakh War, more than 15,000 Azerbaijani former IDPs have been already settled in Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur. My city, my village, now is also under development, and more than 3,000 people have been already settled in Fizuli, which is a part of the Karabakh where I was born. Since I am an economist, I would like also to very briefly to focus on the economic relations between Azerbaijan and Malaysia. In spite of the fact that trade turnover between Azerbaijan and Malaysia has increased by 19% in last 3 years, approaching 1 million USD. But of course, the potential between Azerbaijan and Malaysia is not fully utilized, and there are many huge potential between two states for further improving and also depending economic relations between Azerbaijan and Malaysia, not only in oil and energy sector, but also in non-oil and gas sector. So this is such a webinar is also very important to present the potential of the country and also the potential for improving economic relation between two states. And very often we have delegation from Malaysia to the Parliament of Azerbaijan. As a member of the Parliament, I have been in Malaysia around 4 years ago, but of course I would like to visit Malaysia again in order to have more discussion about the improving relation between two states. So we have very huge potential in order to improve economic or dependent economic relations between two countries. And of course, we also appreciate that Malaysia always has huge support for Azerbaijan, both in First Karabakh War and also Second Karabakh War. Once again, I would like to thank for the organizers for organizing this important event, and also I would like to thank for inviting me to and giving floor to me to share my knowledge and also my ideas about the Karabakh and settlement and also economic relation between Azerbaijan and Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vgar Bayramov. And now our first speaker from Malaysia. Now I want to give the floor to Professor Dr. Mohammed Nagib Eishan. But let me introduce him a bit, please allow me. He has served in various teaching capacities in the IIUM since 1997. Mohammed Nagib has extensively contributed through his writings on different aspects of international law, human rights law, international humanitarian law, regulation of the use of force in international relations, international dispute resolution, international arbitration, international criminal law, international refugee law, migration, corporate social responsibility, and mediation. And his CV is so rich, so please forgive me. But Professor, the floor is yours, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the Honorable Rector of the International Islamic University, Malaysia, His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Your Excellencies, distinguished participants, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Truly, I am honored to participate in this webinar, which is about Western Azerbaijan. I examine this issue from the perspective of international law. Especially, international law is very wide. It has numerous branches, but I will focus on international human rights law, international humanitarian law, international refugee law, and cultural heritage law. But before we talk about the law and its application, we must be clear about the concept of Western Azerbaijan, its history, and how and by whom ethnic Azerbaijanis were forcibly displaced from that region. So it's very important for us to have a clear picture of what we mean by Western Azerbaijan. Of course, as we heard the previous speakers, Western Azerbaijan was historically an integral part of Azerbaijan and, of course, Islamic civilization. The region was predominantly inhabited by ethnic Azerbaijanis, of course, who are Muslims, reflected deep cultural, religious, and demographic ties. The people of from Western Azerbaijan had ties with that region of Azerbaijan that is now situated, and it is under control of Azerbaijan. In other words, today, Western Azerbaijan lies within the internationally recognized territory of the Republic of Armenia. But, of course, sadly, the Azeri population were emptied from this region. They were ethnically cleansed, and now, of course, under the control of Armenia. One of the questions that arose to my mind is whether Azerbaijan is claiming sovereignty over Western Azerbaijan, and I found the answer from speeches delivered by top executive authorities in Azerbaijan that no, we are not asserting territorial claim over that region. What we want is a guarantee of refugees' right to return to their homes. So that is the basic demand of the Azerbaijanis people. Of course, the ethnic Azerbaijanis were displaced from Western Azerbaijan, forcibly, of course, and the waves of displacement started in 1905 and was completed in 1991. The first displacement started when there was an inter-ethnic warfare, and that occurred between 1905 and 1907 for 2 years. And the second took place by Stalin government, and he continuously forced the Azerbaijani Muslims out of Western Azerbaijan, and it was the state policy to do that. And he did it up to his death, that is in 1953. Stalin died in 1953. So later in 1988 and 1991, of course, ethnic cleansing of that region was completed, and Armenia took over the Western Azerbaijan and brought it under its control with the help of the USSR, the former USSR. Now, of course, mosques, as we were heard, mosques were demolished, cemeteries desecrated, madrasas were closed down, Azerbaijani language and culture suppressed, and name of the localities were changed and given different name, suiting the Armenians. Of course, all this is a clear violation of international law. It's a clear violation of the 1949 Geneva Conventions that prohibit forcible transfer of population from one region to another region, or from one country to another country. This also, of course, clearly violates the relevant provision of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant on Social, Economic, and Cultural Rights as well. This, of course, what done to the people of Western, to the Azerbaijanis from Western Azerbaijan, is that was clear violation of international rules and regulation. Of course, ethnic cleansing and destruction of cultural heritage are clear examples of violations of international law and violation of rules of international law is an internationally wrongful conduct for which the state responsible have to provide the remedy of reparation, which I will later talk about the remedy of reparation, which it may include, of course, the right of the Western Azerbaijanis refugees to return to their home. So that would be the best restitution or restitutionary remedy. So the right of return basically is a protected legal right. It is a right recognized by the international human rights law, by the United Nations General Assembly resolutions. For your information, although the UN General Assembly resolutions, by virtue of Article 10 of the United Nations Charter, does not create an obligation, but when several UN General Assembly resolutions are passed on a particular matter, that may eventually, through state practice, become a rule of law, because practice of states create law, in fact. Now, for example, the UN General Assembly, in its 1948 resolution, which actually meant for Palestinian refugees' right to return home, stated that refugees wishing to return to their homes and live at peace with their neighbors should be permitted to do so at the earliest practicable date. But of course, that date for the Palestinian, at least, has yet to arrive, because Palestinians are trying to invoke this right to return to their homes, and they are aspiring to do so for over 7 decades. But unfortunately, their right has not been implemented. Now, of course, the right to return is the fundamental human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in its Article 13, paragraph 2, provides that everyone has the right to return to his or her country. And Article 14 of the ICCPR, that is International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, provide that no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of the right to return, of the right to enter his country. So, of course, the ethnic Azerbaijani people who are displaced forcibly from Western Azerbaijan region, they have every right to return back to their home in that region. Of course, the right to return has also been recognized by the International Court of Justice. In a number of cases, the ICJ, in its advisory opinion on the legal consequences of the construction of a wall, the wall that was built, to separate, Israel call it security wall, Palestinians call it apartheid wall, but we are not. Our discussion is not on that wall. What the court in this particular case stated is that the court, I quote, the court considers that the construction of the wall impedes the liberty of movement of the inhabitants of the occupied Palestinian territory and the exercise of the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination, including their right to return to their homeland. So what the ICJ has done this, has recognized the international, the legality of this right, that this right does exist. And in fact, the European Court of Human Rights in a number of cases also recognized that refugees have the right to return their homes. Of course, expelling a people or an ethnic group from their homes and from their region and destroying their cultural identity constitutes an internationally wrongful conduct for which the state responsible has to provide remedy, responsible to provide reparation. In fact, if you look at the Article 1 of the RCW, it clearly provides every internationally wrongful conduct of a state entails the responsibility of that state. And Article 2 of that particular draft articles provide there is an internationally wrongful act of a state when conduct consisting of an action or omission is attributable to the state. State here means executive authority, legislative authority, judicial authority, all these. If you attribute the wrong to those elements of the state, then the state bears responsibility for its conduct, for their conduct. And of course, state responsibility arises when there is a breach of international law. As I did discuss earlier, that forcible displacement of a people and destroying their cultural identity constitute a violation of international law, for which the state that has done that conduct bear the responsibility, right, to provide restitution. What we mean by the remedy of the restitution is that the state, the wrongful, the state that is internationally responsible has to restore the situation to what it was before the wrong was committed. So how that can be done? Allow the Western Azerbaijani refugees go back to their homes, so to restore them back to their original position when they were in their homes. And for those who are not willing to return, they should be provided with compensation, at least, right? So Now, I have crafted two questions. I may read the question first, and then I try my best to answer, but if I have gone astray, our respected diplomats here will correct me, inshallah. Now, the first question is that the expulsion of ethnic Azerbaijanis from the historical Western Azerbaijan and the destruction of their cultural heritage constitute internationally wrongful acts. Now, the question is, who bears the responsibility for reparation? Reparation includes restitution, the remedy of restitution, compensation, satisfaction, and so many others. So who bears responsibility for reparation? Armenia, Russia, as the successor of the USSR, or both? So that is my question, and I have attempted to answer. The first point is that in my answer, Armenia bears the primary responsibility. Why? Because Armenia was the one who was directly involved in the expulsion and destruction of cultural heritage of the people of Western Azerbaijan, and the wrongs were committed between 1983 and 1991. So major destruction and ethnic cleansing took place within that period in which Armenia was in charge of that region. So that is, I have some other points, but due to time constraint, I have to escape some. And the second point is, can we hold Russia, the successor of the USSR, former Soviet Union, responsible for the wrong that were committed in Western Azerbaijan? The answer may be yes. Maybe yes. Yes. So the Stalin era, I think deportation. Stalin, who was controlling, of course, that region, he deported hundreds of thousands of Azerbaijanis from Western Azerbaijan to different parts of Russia and different part of other republics within that region. So today, Russia is the successor. All the responsibilities of the Soviet Union is taken over by Russia. And therefore, it is possible to some extent, not to the fullest extent, depending on the terms of succession agreement, to hold Russia responsible, possible, because a successor, Russia has taken over international responsibility of the Soviet Union, right? USSR. And it is also possible that both countries be at the same time held responsible, shared responsibility. So Armenia may be held liable for continuing violations and denial of the Azerbaijanis' right to return, which is still denying, they are not allowed to return. And Russia may carry residual legal responsibility for Stalin-era deportations. And just one more, two minutes, I have one more question. Inshallah, am I allowed to?
Last question.
Yeah, the last question. Right. Now, the second question I have jotted down here is that what steps has Azerbaijan taken or should it take, both legally and diplomatically, to realize the right of return or restore the cultural rights of the displaced Azerbaijanis? So the answer to that question is that, yes, of course, as we heard the learned speakers, Azerbaijan has established the Western Azerbaijani community, which was previously known as Azerbaijani Society, right, for the protection of refugees. Now, Azerbaijan documented destruction of cultural heritage in international reports and platforms. Azerbaijan highlighted the issue of immigrants from displaced people from Western Azerbaijan at the United Nations and also at the UN Human Rights Council. What else should Azerbaijan do? My view is that Azerbaijan may file claims before international tribunals such as the International Court of Justice, or submit petitions to UN bodies like the Human Rights Committee. Azerbaijan may also support individual applications to European Court of Human Rights, where, if it is possible, I don't know whether European Court of Human Rights is open to Azerbaijanis complaining, and yes, right?
Welcome.
Yeah, right. Then that's a good suggestion. And of course, Azerbaijan may also engage international partners, such as the Organization of Islamic Conference, Non-Aligned Movement, the Turkic states for moral and political support. Azerbaijan may propose confidence-building measures to Armenia on safe return and protection of heritage sites. Azerbaijan may also run international awareness campaigns like the one we have today. Azerbaijan may promote research and publications on the history of Western Azerbaijan and its heritage. I think we have quite a number of good researchers at IIUM who can assist if they are asked. Azerbaijan may support educational initiatives on the right of return and transnational justice. And my final word is that if wrong was done to Western Azerbaijanis, as the historical record confirms, that wrong must be set right. Restitution, including the right of return, is a legal remedy under international law, not merely a moral appeal. The Western Azerbaijan community should pursue this right strategically through legal and diplomatic channels. The destruction of cultural heritage violates international law and entitles the victim to reparation, be it in the form of restitution, rehabilitation, or compensation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Professor, for your valuable speech. Thank you. I wanted to add some as a support to your thesis. Azerbaijan has no any territorial claims to any neighboring country. Azerbaijan's claims are only let's live together peaceful coexistence. For example, Azerbaijan is a multinational and multi-religious country. It's our richness. Also, Malaysia is multinational, multicultural, and multi-religious country. This is our richness. And unfortunately, in its 21st century, Armenia is mono-ethnic country. It's a big question. Azerbaijan's calls are, let's refrain from being mono-ethnic. So thank you for your speech. Thank you, Professor. I want to give the floor to Dr. Olsi Yazıcı. He is Assistant Professor in the Department of History, Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. He is specialized in the history of nationalism, Islam and Muslim communities in post-Ottoman Europe. He has taught history at University Alexandres. Please forgive me, I cannot pronounce your yes, Elbasan, and University Alexander Moise Durres in Albania. Floor is yours, Mr. Dr. Olsi.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to somehow connect my presentation, which is going to deal with the issue of Muslim community of Western Azerbaijan, with the greater question of the Muslims after the event of the so-called the Eastern Question. Now, more or less, the Azerbaijanis, they are the victims of the Russo-Persian Wars of 1804-1813, 1826 and 1828, when the Qajar Empire is going to lose its territories to the Russian Empire with the Treaty of Gulistan and Turkmenchai. Then we know the history. During the 19th century, Azerbaijan will remain part of the Russian Empire, will have a short period of independence during the Bolshevik Revolution, and then in 1920, Azerbaijan will become part of the Soviet Union. Now, the question of Azerbaijani Muslims and their expulsion from the territories of what we know nowadays as Armenia, they are going to culminate with the first Nagorno-Karabakh War of 1994, when Armenian fascists, they are going even to carry the infamous Khojaly massacre. And the creation of Azerbaijan after the collapse of the Soviet Union will follow the Azerbaijani national identity, and this will become a major drama for the Azerbaijanis. Luckily, however, during the second Nagorno-Karabakh War, or the second Karabakh War, how the Azeris would like to call it, of 2020, and the final offensive in 2023, Azerbaijanis, they will manage to take the territory of Karabakh, or what in English we know it, or because of the Armenian influence, we call it as Nagorno-Karabakh. Now, the expulsion of Azerbaijanis from their native territories was not something isolated to Azerbaijan only. During the retreat of the Ottoman and the Persian Empire from Caucasus to the Balkans, we will have millions of Muslims who will be victims of the Christian empires of Europe, which are going to march. We will have not only the Russians, but also will have the Habsburgs or the Austro-Hungarians, who are going to advance against the Ottomans in the Balkans. Between 1821 to 1922, we'll have around 5 million Muslims who will be driven from their lands, and another 5.5 million who are going to die. If we see the demography of Turkey today, Turkey is a country of muhajirs. I mean, some of the leaders of the Turkish Republic today, from Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, who was from Macedonia, to Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is Laz from Georgia, to Davutoglu, who was even a professor in our university in 1990s, who is a Crimean Tatar, or even Erbakan, who is half Dagestani, we can understand that when we look at Turkey today, Turkey is a country of muhajirs. These people, they are not originally from Turkey. They came from somewhere. And when somebody visits Turkey, there is a saying in Turkey of the so-called the Beyaz Türk and Kara Türk. When somebody goes to Istanbul, you see Turks who look like Bosnians or Serbs or Albanians. They look very European. But when someone goes to Konya or Ankara, you see Turks who look different. And this shows, in a way, is a testimony of the tragedy of Muslims, of the Persian Empire and the Ottoman Empire. And what happened to the Azerbaijanis actually started probably before what happened to them with the Muslims in Europe. Here I have to mention the so-called Greek War of Independence between 1821 to 1829, and then the Serbian so-called revolution of George Petrovic, known otherwise as Karađorđe, where in the case of Serbia, with the help of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Serbs will create the so-called the Freikorps, which will be Serbian terrorist groups who are going to massacre and butcher the Muslims of the Balkans. If somebody visits Balkans nowadays and goes to Bulgaria or in Sofia, Bulgaria, to Belgrade in Serbia, to Athens or Thessaloniki, you are going to see mosques which are ruined. What does this thing show? It shows that once upon a time, the downtown of Belgrade was like Merdeka Square in Kuala Lumpur, where you have mosques and Muslims living. But what happened to these Muslims? They were all expelled in waves. So we have a number of events which are going to happen in the Balkans. So from the Greek War of Independence to the Serbian Revolution, and finally we'll have the Russo-Turkish War of 1877 to 1878, when, because of the victories of Russia over the Ottomans, we will have the establishment of the Serbian Principality. And during these wars, we'll have almost 100,000 Muslims, most of them being Albanians, who will be expelled from the Sanjak of Niš to Kosovo. Noel Malcolm, he has a very good book called Kosovo, A Short History. And if you read his book, you are going to see how European diplomacy justified the ethnic cleansing of the Muslims from their territories and the massive de-Islamization of Europe. The de-Islamization of Europe and the expulsion of Muslims will continue even into the 20th century, when the Ottoman Empire will be finally defeated during World War I. We will have hundreds and thousands of Muslims who will be expelled from nation states that we know nowadays as Macedonia, Serbia, Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania, and what have you. The largest number of expulsion of Muslims will take part in the population exchanges between Turkey and Greece, where, according to different estimates, the number vary from 500,000 Muslims, but some claim even up to 1 million Muslims who are going to be expelled from Greece. And then we have the population exchanges of Yugoslavia, where during the time of Tito, we'll have hundreds of thousands of Albanians and Slavic-speaking Muslims who will be deported to Turkey. After the Second World War, we'll have a massive expulsion of Muslims even from Greece, or what we know nowadays as as northern Greece or Voryo Epirus. And we will have the expulsion of the Cham Albanians. And the expulsion of Cham Albanians, and hopefully I'm going to have a student who is joining our department, inshallah, in September, who is hoping to write his PhD dissertation on the expulsion of the Chams. The expulsion of the Chams will be made with the permission of the British, who are going to help the pro-monarchical forces of Greece to fight against the communists. And as part of their fight against communism, they're going even to expel the Muslims of northern Greece. If someone nowadays visits towns like Shumen in Bulgaria, today you can find only 3 mosques standing, but during Ottoman time you had like 40 mosques. In Saras, Greece, which is in border with Bulgaria, you had like around 60 mosques. Today you have only 3 left. In Belgrade, Serbia, you have more than 100 mosques. If you go today, you have only 1 mosque, the so-called Bayrakli Jamia. If you go to Sofia, Bulgaria, you had more than 100 mosques. Today is only 1 left. In Ruse, Bulgaria, you have more than 36. Today you have only 1 mosque left. And the number continues like this. So what happened to Azerbaijanis during the collapse of the Soviet Union was something that repeated itself even in the Balkans or Southeastern Europe. And funny enough is that when somebody reads Azerbaijani nationalistic claims, they are very similar to the Serbian nationalistic claims. I mean, a weapon that the powers of Europe used to, in a way, indoctrinate and radicalize the Christians from Armenians in Caucasus to the Balkans was nationalism. So nowadays, Armenians claim that they have lost their historical homeland, which, according to them, the greater Armenia should include parts of Turkey, Iran, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and they claim that they belong to us. These fascistic, Islamophobic nation states which emerged during the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, they used the myth of nationalism. So if you talk to a Serb or to a Greek or to an Armenian, you will see somehow the same narrative. They use nationalism. They'll talk about the ancient kingdom that they imagine that happened sometimes in the past, and then they will have the sense of victimhood. The Armenians, for example, they will claim that, yeah, the Turks came and they killed us and raped our women and we become dark-skinned because we're blonde and Aryans looking. And look what happened now. We have this small Armenia and we have to revenge and create the greater Armenia. More or less what Benjamin Netanyahu says when he wants to create Eretz Israel. He said, yeah, we had this great biblical Israel and our borders were from Nile to Euphrates and we have to make it again and kill and expel all the Arabs, right? So nationalism has the same kind of mentality. I mean, they use the past, they create fake stories, and in the name of these fake stories, they, in a way, legitimize their genocide. So what happened to the Armenians? What happened to the Muslims of the Balkans? What is happening to Palestinians in this very moment? When Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, they want to expel and exterminate, and they're starving, and they're committing a genocide against 2 million Muslim Palestinians, it happened even with our Azerbaijani brothers and sisters and with the Balkan Muslims in the past. I propose that in our university, if we deal with the issue of the genocide against the Muslims of Azerbaijan, if I can use this term, Your Excellency, I think that we should have to see the bigger picture, because the victimization of Azerbaijani Muslims is not something isolated, because we know that the expansion of imperial Russia went hand in hand with French imperialism, with British imperialism, and when one of the presenters presented to us here the map of the Turkic lands, I noted that only one Turkic territory was missing, which is Xinjiang or East Turkestan. What is happening nowadays with the Uyghurs are victims of Chinese social imperialism, like the Azerbaijanis were victims of Russian imperialism as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Olsi. You're really impressive, your victimization tactics of great powers. Thank you for your valuable speech. Now I want to give the floor to Dr. Ahmet Al-Muhammadi. He is assistant professor at the International Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization. Besides that, he holds various external positions such as associate fellow at the International Center for Counterterrorism, and also International Advisory Committee member at Global Peace Institute. He is also Associate Research Fellow at the Accounting Research Institute, University Technology Mara. He has also rich CV. Thank you for your this CV. Yes, the floor is yours, Dr. Ahmet Al-Muhammadi.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, Dr. Al-Sivar, His Excellency, Mr. Irfan, Prof. Osman, and all the distinguished panelists tonight. Actually, I'm very, engrossed listening to all the presentation tonight. I think it is very wonderful, and I should give credit to all presenters. It is a very wonderful presentation. In this discussion tonight, I would like to mention 4 points. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate His Excellency Ambassador Irfan for, I think, worked tirelessly to strengthen bilateral relation between Azerbaijan and Malaysia for, I think, more than 6 years now. And I think you have initiated a lot of efforts in the past 6 years. And I think that the event that we have tonight, also part of the outcome of that initiative. And of course, with the hospitality and collaboration from our university, Prof. Usman and all the team here. And Alhamdulillah, we have this event tonight. So that's number one. And number two, I would like to mention about the trip that I have to Azerbaijan. Like 3 weeks ago, the government of Azerbaijan organized a very important event in Baku in collaboration with the Baku International Center, I think, for multiculturalism, and also the Center of Analysis of International Relation in there, in collaboration with many organizations. They have this yearly program, they call it International Conference on Combating Islamophobia. I think this 2025 is the 3rd year that they organize it in Baku, and it is very wonderful event because it was attended by, I think, more than 100 people from the 38 countries around the world. And I think from Malaysia, I'm the only one, perhaps, this year. I think before that, we have people also going there. And we discussed about very important issue in there that is related to Islamophobia. And we have presentation from various countries, and then also an opportunity to build networking and so on. But my impression about Azerbaijan is that, because I spoke to many of them here when I was there, they told me that within 20 years, Azerbaijan has transformed itself to become very, very important player in the region. And I can see that based on the observation that I have, the development and the combination of the traditional and modern architecture, it is very impressive. Together with the vibrant economy, trades, economics, life, social life, and also the presence of international communities in the capital city of Azerbaijan is very wonderful things. And Azerbaijan, even though it is just a newly joined United Nations, I think in 1992, has become the member of United Nations, but has been actively engaged at the international forum, international, being in the presence of international community actively. And I think it's this also combined with the strong leadership in there. I watched the interview, I think, an interview by the BBC, I think, that they interviewed the president of Azerbaijan, and they tried to bully the country because they say that Azerbaijan is an aggressor instead of the victim. But I think because of the strong rebuttal from the president of Azerbaijan, I think that person quiet. He didn't answer anything about that. But that is what happened in Baku during the Islamophobia. There is an active and very engaging discussion. And the third point that I would like to mention is about the Islamophobia itself. I think some countries suffered Islamophobia just only a breeze of Islamophobia. It's not the real one, but I think we have heard just now presentation by the Prof. Nakib and also Dr. Olsi and the ambassador himself speaking about the real challenge of Islamophobia in there. The physical, cultural challenge that the Azerbaijan has suffered. But interestingly, if you read the media, or if you look at the narrative that we have out there, we may find that they're gonna say like Azerbaijan or the Azeris are the aggressors instead of the Armenians. So this is a very interesting narrative being put out there, and that has been persistent until today. And I think, as Dr. Olsi mentioned, this is not a new thing. It's happened before, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, just like a Bosnian and other people in Balkans. And it's happened to Palestinian people, it's happened to Azerbaijan also. So we also need to be speaking about this. So that is my comment about Islamophobia. And the last one, if I may, His Excellency, that I believe that we need to improve, or we need to have more program of this nature, more discussion and more research on this one, especially from the scholars in Malaysia on this issue. And I think we have the expert here who are present here tonight, and they can help us in this. And I really hope by the end of the year we can have another session of this nature, and we can benefit from that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mohammadi. Your proposal really precious, really good. We will support your offers. And now I want to start Q&A session. If you don't mind, now we want. If there are any questions, we will be happy. I hope our MPs are also online from Azerbaijan. Yes, distinguished participants, if there are any questions, you can ask.
I think lectures were so wide and so clear that there is no question.
Can follow up on Professor Nakib's? He poses interesting questions.
Yeah. He answered.
Yeah, he asked and he answered himself. Following up on what he said, basically, for Azerbaijan, it's not really to claim territorial sovereignty, because the evidence, in other words, historically, what points to is that, that territory belongs to Armenia. Am I right in understanding? What happens is that, due to certain circumstances, the factors following the breakup of the Soviet Union. When socialist brotherhood gave way to ethnic nationalism, the Armenia was using that territorial sovereignty as basis for it to carry out ethnic cleansing, to, in a sense, to chase the ethnic Azerbaijans from the Western Azerbaijan. So, and what you argue that even that thing that cannot be defended, cannot, no, in the side of international law. Yeah. So I think, therefore, question now what Azerbaijan needs to do in kind of circumstances to argue the what you call the civilized law, the civilized law that you may be a minority in the country, but then the state should respect that minority rights and have no right to do what they have done. That will give the moral, the big moral strength, in favor of Azerbaijan. And the only thing I don't know, can you comment? Why is it that the UNESCO is supposed to defend the cultural heritage of all people, but when it comes to this particular case, UNESCO is not doing its job? Is there something, some reason for that?
Yes,
Good.
you are absolute.
Am I asking the right question?
His Excellency would be in a better position to answer that question. It's a very important question that relates to state practice and also organizational practice. UNESCO is an international institution. It has to act fairly, justly, and reasonably. And it would be fair if protect the cultural heritage of a nation and deny similar protection to other countries. That is not a fair deal and not just, certainly. Yeah, okay, I think.
Regarding this cultural heritage of Azerbaijani people, of other peoples, I can say that during the occupation, Azerbaijan raised this question in front of UNESCO many times, that UNESCO must organize at least a mission to this occupied territory to assist the situation with Azerbaijani cultural heritage there. But UNESCO every time rejected it, saying that UNESCO is not engaged in resolution of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, UNESCO is not a political organization, and so on. But after Azerbaijan liberated its territories, just few days after that, UNESCO began raising question about Armenian heritage in these territories. In spite of the fact that we have very few, so-called Armenian heritage here, in fact, this heritage, which they consider to be Armenian heritage, is Christian heritage, belongs to Albanian, from the times of Caucasian Albania. We call it Azerbaijan. In ancient times, it was called by Europeans to be Caucasian Albania. And this is Christian heritage, which still nothing with Armenians. During the occupation, during the Soviet period, Armenians tried to renovate this heritage and to give them a form of Armenian churches, Armenian monasteries, and so on. But in fact, they belong to Azerbaijani within a community of Azerbaijan, and now they own this heritage. This hypocrisy from the side of international organizations, we faced it many times. This is not strange to us, and we can. I think that we can observe the same in different parts of the world. When it comes to heritage of certain peoples, it's out of attention by the side of such international organization. Of course, this is great, unfortunate for us, but it's a reality of the modern world, unfortunately. Regarding the right of minorities, I would like to Mr. Elsevier also mentioned this. In Azerbaijan, we have a lot of ethnic minorities living in Azerbaijan. I don't know, maybe 50, maybe 55, maybe 70, and so on. And we have never had any problem with ethnic or religious or national minorities in the territory of Azerbaijan. From ancient times, Azerbaijan has been fatherland for many ethnic groups, which are peacefully living in the territory of Azerbaijan. For example, I said about Udyns. This is a very ancient ethnic group living in the territory of Azerbaijan. They are first Christians in this territory. Until today, they enjoy their lives in Azerbaijan without any problems. Problem, the only troublemakers in this territory, in this region, are Armenians. But we spoke about this Islamic heritage sites in the Balkan countries. Professor mentioned about this. You cannot find in Armenian cities right now, in Yerevan, so-called Yerevan, you cannot find any buildings built more than 100 years ago, because till the beginning of 20th century, Yerevan and other today's Armenian cities were entirely Muslim, Azerbaijani cities, with mosques, with cemeteries, with tombs, and so on. And to vanish this, signs of Azerbaijani Muslim existence in this territory, during the Soviet period, they abolished all these monuments in Armenia. Before the Russian occupation, before the Soviet period, there were thousands of mosques. Now, only one mosque exists in the capital of Armenia, renewed to keep it as a manifestation of Armenian tolerance. That, in Armenia, in Yerevan, we have a mosque. But they deliberately destroyed all such sites of cultural heritage of Azerbaijani people, of Muslims, in order to to create an imagination that here never existed Azerbaijan or Muslim population here. Thank you.
Raphael Lemkin, or rather Lemkin, a Jewish scholar who, while attending a gathering where Churchill, the ex-prime minister of England, he was telling a group of scholars that, look, in reference to what the Nazis did to Jewish people and other community in Germany and other parts of Europe, he said, we are facing with a crime for which we have no name. The atrocities the Nazis committed against some ethnic group in Europe. So this gentleman, this scholar, Raphael Lemkin, he then searched for the name of the crime that Nazis were committing. And that is why in 1942, he came out with the definition of genocide. Before the Second World War, the term genocide was not with us. So in his definition, he also defined cultural genocide. And he considered destruction of cultural heritage also amount to genocide. Destruction of the cultural heritage of an ethnic group or people or nation constitute genocide. But unfortunately, in 1958, when the Genocide Convention was adopted, that definition given by Raphael Lemkin was not included in the Genocide Convention, but the portion of his definition on genocide, definition of genocide, was included in the Genocide Convention, but not that portion which considered destruction of cultural heritage of an ethnic group as genocide was not included. Nevertheless, the ICTY, the International Criminal Tribunal for Former Yugoslavia, in Prosecutor versus Krastik, has held that cultural destruction can form part of genocidal acts, or at least amounts to crimes against humanity. So destruction of cultural heritage, no matter that heritage or that culture belong to which ethnic group or which nation or belongs to whom, that would amount to crimes against humanity under international law. And that's why when I was discussing the responsibility of states, I was referring whether Russia can be held responsible. Some may say the statute of limitation may apply. When it comes to international crime, that statute does not apply, actually. Still, responsible countries can be held accountable.
Thank you, Professor, for your contributions. If you allow me, I want to close the...
Actually, I have a question. Prof. Nakib, it's actually a very simple question, but I just want to take this opportunity because I found the speech, the points by Dr. Olsi very illuminating in, drawing the parallels of what's happening in Azerbaijan is actually things that have happened in the past and is still happening towards the Muslim community. And we see it, of course, now what the world's talking about is Gaza, right? But I agree with him that what happened and is happening to Azerbaijan should be seen in the larger lens of what's happening to the Muslim community. So my question is actually very simple because you have enumerated all the international law obligations that have been violated and can be claimed, but the world now feels that international law is really toothless, and that, so realistically speaking, what is still the value of international law in the world today?
Very simple but tough question, very, very difficult to answer. International law is not only the law of war. International law governs so many things. It governs the air, the sea, the land, the relation, the trade, business, international dealing, between states and so on and so forth. Yes, the law of war has been violated right now. You see what Israel did is a clear violation of the of Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the United Nations Charter, that is an aggression, the one who started the war basically is the aggressor. So Iran is the defender. So there is, we have, of course, right of self-defense there as well. But what I am trying to say here is that, we have penal code in Malaysia, right? That prohibit murder or theft. But still we have murderers around, right? At the international level, we have the law, but still we have some rogue element within the international community that decide to breach the law. So, I mean, when a murder takes place within the territorial jurisdiction of a particular state, that does not negate the criminal law of that country, right? So when a country breaches the international obligation vis-a-vis other nations, that does not negate international law as well. International law still stands. I hope I answered the question, right? Yeah.
If I may give some just comment, a very short comment. Thank you very much, Prof. Naqib. I want to draw your attention to an important issue. In October 2023, Armenia ratified a Rome Statute of ICC with intention. They said our ratification nothing to do with Russia, but our intention to hold Azerbaijan accountable for the aggression against Armenia. At the same time, Azerbaijan not party in ICC. So all the crimes committed during the occupation, including deportation, prevention, the ethnic cleansing, prevention all the Azerbaijani community from returning to their homeland, constitute war crime, including, by the way, destruction of masjids and other things as you show us, constitute war crimes, and also crimes against humanity, including prosecution. So my suggestion, we have to look at international criminal law as well, even the crime committed by Armenia before the era of ICC, but still some crimes considered continuous crimes, which you can take action if Azerbaijan decide to join the treaty. Number one. Number two, all these crimes consider also crimes not subject to statutory limitation, means will not gone because of passage of time. So you have to hold I'm Palestinian from Gaza, so I'm very familiar with these cases. So you should also raise cases to ICJ in terms of even issuing advisory opinion, like the advisory opinion taken by the ICJ for the Palestinian issue, to show that the Israeli occupation is illegal. So also you can do so in order to confirm your rights for a future generation. Maybe right now international community and international law not too strong, as Prof. Naqib did mention, but at least we are doing our best to show our rights. So ICJ important way. Joining ICC, I think it's not easy, but this is important for you because in the future you may face some cases from Armenia, as we know that Israeli doing right now. They're committing crime and they playing the role of victims. So this many things from international law perspective, but I think also international criminal law and humanitarian law quite important things to be taken into consideration from Azerbaijan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your. Please, Dr. Olsey.
Thank you very much. I have this one, which is 3 questions for anyone who knows from the Azerbaijani presenters. Number 1 is, what is the status of Islam in Armenia nowadays? Is it recognized as a religion? very short answers. Two, is there any study which has documented the existence of mosques and Muslim communities in Western Azerbaijan before the Armenian settlement? And three, is there any study which documents the propagation of Islamophobia in Armenia, in textbooks? So these are my three questions, if someone can.
As I said before, as Armenia is a monoethnic country, so actually, have you got any information that there are Muslims in Armenia? There are Muslims in Armenia.
Yeah. For example, Muslims in Europe have a chapter about Armenia.
Unfortunately, we have no information that there are Muslims in Armenia. So, sizin bir məlumatınız var bu haqda? Yox, Müslümanların Ermənistan'da yaşaması barədə.
Wikipedia claims that there is a Muslim community there, but the question is, what is their situation?
I think so, but speaking frankly, 99.9% of Armenian population are Armenians. Maybe some Muslims are living there because, if I'm not mistaken, among Armenians also some very small Muslim community adopted Muslim in, I don't know, in the Middle Ages. But speaking, I don't know what to say about this. It's if Islam has a special status within Armenian statehood, I don't know. About Muslim Azerbaijani heritage, we have some documents from Soviet times, because Soviet times it was such a tradition to make this catalog of monuments in the territory of all former Soviet republics, and we have such documents. If we have information about more than 1,000 of Azerbaijani Muslim heritage sites in Armenia, and we raised this question in front of UNESCO to send to make a special mission to assist the situation with this heritage in Armenia. We know that they all have already been destroyed and no existence, but we have some documents, photos of these sites and so on, and I think that this Western Azerbaijani community, one of the directions of their activity is this, to raise this question in front of international organizations which are engaged with these issues. Maybe our participants, if they are online, they can respond to this question more.
If you don't mind, I want to close the session and pass the floor to MC.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Elsevier, and all speakers, and His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador. I believe there's a lot to unpack and reflect from this session and this academic discourse. I would like now to invite Honorable Rector to give a brief closing remarks.
Well, I think we had a good event tonight. I'm sure all the presentations by the speakers here and the members of parliament in Azerbaijan, I think they have enlightened us on the issues surrounding the basically the dispute or the crisis between Azerbaijan and Armenia. There are a lot of issues that need to be discussed, but I think it's a good introduction for many of us who are not familiar with what's going on. But they're good, I think, for us up in the academia. For IIM, I think what I observe, the speakers have touched on different aspects of the issues, bringing out the issues of basically post-Soviet Union, these developments in those countries. Basically, in those countries, we used to be part of the Soviet Union. I think some of the issues similar to those encountered in those parts, Central Asia. They are basically Muslim states, but now they are independent states, and post-independence, basically independence did not immediately solve the problems, especially the question of ethnicity. Basically, I think, as I said earlier, what has kept the Soviet Union together before has that threat they call the Soviet socialism, but history has shown that so-called Soviet socialism could not put together, and what came in place precisely was ethnic nationalism, which pushed all the different states at odds with each other. I think that was part of the problem. Part of the problem. We are living in a world in which basically, yes, the international law exists, but the people, the states, the countries who are supposed to enforce that international law are not in a position to do so. And today, the United Nations on which we depend is just hopeless. I mean, the United Nations just cannot anymore enforce that law. So who is to enforce the international law? They are on paper, yes, but then in reality, we cannot be protected. Nobody can protect us. So that is the dilemma now in that situation. So anyway, I think for many of the speakers, Dr. Olsier, from the law, from ICOL. In fact, when I received this event, I mean, we want to end this event from the ambassador. I thought the first kuliah in mind was about ICOL. So I said, please, I told Dr. Adli, please no contact ICOL, and also show Dr. Aida that this is very important to ICOL students, and hopefully, inshallah, we will go also and we will organize this kind of thing after Azerbaijan, can be Albania, can be many other things, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Now we would like to present some token of appreciation to our respected guests. So if the Honorable Rector can present first a souvenir to His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador. And lastly, some souvenir also for Dr. Al-Savar, our moderator. Okay, it's getting late. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's end with Tasbih Kifara and Surah Wal-Ars. We would like to have a short photography session for 2 minutes. So if everyone could just assemble in the middle. Thank you.